Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 376 at scavengerlife.com.
This week was a fairly stressful week.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, no, I felt like we were working like crazy this week. It was insane.
And I was talking about that on the forum with some people about how we basically invite stress into our lives, you know? So, there's kind of a paradox here. One part we're always like talking about not working for someone else, owning your own time, not waking up to an alarm clock,
right,
painting a picture of this carefree life. But the reality is, we purposely invite a lot of stress into our
I don't
lives.
think we ever paint a picture of a carefree, like, non-working life, though. Like, I understand, like, we have our own time and we can do what we want, but there's a lot of stuff to do all the time,
And the way this came up was someone came on the forum. It happens every so often where someone's like, I really don't like my job. It's not what I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the future of it just being kind of a grind with a lot of political infighting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just a bureaucrat and I want to, have my own life.
Right.
And then people start, other scavengers, especially those of us that do work for ourselves, we're always very positive, and we start talking about very practical things about like how you think about your numbers and get your money down. And for us, I just want to be clear, like we actually bought and paid for and fixed up our house in 2010 and 11. So by 2000, so we were done. Like we, our house was paid off.
Right.
And we really, at that point, could have just, made $3,000 or $4,000 a month on eBay.
And been done.
And kind of just float for the rest of our lives.
You could do that. We totally could have done that.
But instead, we invite this stress into our lives because, we want to do other things. We want to push ourselves, work on other projects. We're buying real estate. And so I guess that's always the interesting thing when, people are thinking about going solo or, working for themselves is, what is the point? Is the point where you just want to make enough money where you can just chill for the rest of your life?
What is the point? Yeah.
Yeah. Are you trying to do something else? I don't know.
Well, that's always the question. I mean, for anybody who's alive, I mean, honestly, you're just like, what do you want to do with your time on Earth? Like, that is literally just what we have to ask ourselves every single day. And that's what we did when we finished our house. I remember we finished our house. We were done it was like late January of 2011. We got our furniture in. I remember, we were like, we did it. And then by September, we had bought another property.
Right.
And, I think... And I remember being so exhausted from the renovation and just being like, what? But there's just something that is in our brains that's like, well, let's try something else.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why the whole idea that people that are going for early retirement, when they're young, it's not really retirement.
Right. I don't like that word. I was talking to one of our eBay helpers about their parents because they're like close to retirement age. And, there's this weird notion that we all have about this vision of retirement of someone retires and then they do nothing until they die. And it's just so bizarre to think
I feel like that's kind of like a baby boomer thing, or maybe, what is it?
The generation before that.
The greatest generation is like, you work your whole life, 65.
Right. And then you
start pulling, social, and then you're just good to go. And you play a golf all day,
And you know what? I'm sure there's a demographic of people that do that. I don't know any of them. I don't. Even the people that I know who thought they were going to do that,
right,
aren't doing that.
Right. It's like it's your mom and her husband. I think that was her husband's dream, was just to he worked for the government in a military for decades.
Decades and decades.
He retired when he was in his late 60s or something.
Yeah.
And then he thought he's just going to play golf. I think he played golf for a month or something.
It was like, I am so bored.
And now he's into doing all these other things.
Yep.
Yep. So anyway, I guess, but that's always just the interesting thing. just because you start working for yourself doesn't mean it's going to be... I mean, I guess you could have a really chill life. And you know, and if that's someone's goal, that's cool. Because really, when you do the numbers, it doesn't take that much to be alive if you're willing to be frugal.
Right.
And if you don't choose to live in like one, you know, really expensive parts of the country, you know,
right.
If you're willing to sacrifice, you know, being in like a super hip urban area,
right,
and not have a luxury car and all that. I mean,
like you can
come out to the
by.
country.
Yeah.
Life is cheap, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, so it has been a stressful week by our own choosing.
Well, by our own choosing, and just our businesses need maintenance. Yeah. I think about like when people are like, oh, I want to do like an Airbnb rental, and all I want to say is just like, maintenance. It's constant.
Yeah, so as Ryan's just bringing up, it's been very humid where we live. So the AC, the HVAC on all three of our properties
has been really stressed.
Has been stressed out, and we had some leaks because just so much water was pouring out of the AC. It kind of backed up, and so we've been fixing that stuff. But you know what?
But we fixed it. We fixed them all, so it's fine.
Okay, so this doesn't really have to do with eBay, but we're just going to talk about it because, you know what? It's our podcast.
That's right.
So last week we talked about we were going to prep to pour a concrete floor.
And we did it.
In that building we bought on Main Street. And so it was very cool. If we can get some pictures up, we will. So we took a grimy old basement of a building. You know, I'm sure you can imagine it in your head. You walk down.
Just picture a basement. You know, it just, it does. It looks like a cave. There's no windows.
Cobwebs everywhere. It was full of junk and dirt. And so we took it and we poured this beautiful, shiny polished concrete floor. There's going to be windows down there. And we even roughed in, on one of the hottest days of the week, we roughed in a bathroom.
Which was super exciting because we thought, for some reason, the owners that we bought it from, the previous owners, said they couldn't put a bathroom down there. And we were like, oh, we can't do that. And then we had the building inspector come in. He's like, yep, no problem.
No problem.
This is how, you know, our person who's helping us was like, this is how I'm going to do it. And he's like, yep, that sounds right. Yep. And we were like,
so I think just right there, we probably paid for the concrete job by adding a bathroom in there and putting a floor down. The value of the property just was easily raised by the amount of money we put.
That's a good way of thinking of thinking about it, where you're like, will this, you know, be valuable to, you know, the price of the building and for what's going to go in there? And the answer is
again,
yes.
It's like I always say it with real estate. That's like the scavenger way, I think. You know, the basement was something that people overlooked for decades.
Yes, for years.
And the scavengers were like, that's a usable space.
Well, what's great about
brought it back to life.
What's great about it is it's the same footprint, obviously, as the rest of the building. So you're adding all this square footage, if you finish it, to the building. I mean, granted, you'll pay more taxes, but the building's worth more. Yeah. You know?
So another kind of scavenger part are these old work shoes that I wear.
You love this. I can't even believe this is on the outline. It's so funny.
This is all me here.
Yep.
So when we were in Amsterdam
several years ago,
one morning I was riding our bike that we had just through Amsterdam.
Beautiful Amsterdam.
It was like 6 a.m. in the morning, and you know, as a scavenger, I saw a pile of trash. And I stopped, and someone, I guess, had been emptying out their apartment. So there's a bunch of stuff. And I remember I grabbed a bunch of stuff. And some of it were these pair of boots.
Pair of work boots.
There were, what kind of boots are those? They're like the mid-thigh.
Mid-thigh. That's
mid-ankle.
pretty, yeah, they're like leather lace-up chukka boots. They're not really chukka boots, but sort of.
Anyway, I bring him back, and unfortunately, one is brown and one is black. It's very strange. Same exact size, same brand, just different color. Anyway, for some reason, I was like, I'm going to keep these, and I brought them all the way home. And I now use these boots as like my work boots. So it's when I'm there and I'm working, I always look down and see these different colored boots that are super comfortable and like very like perfect, you know, like pouring concrete and getting dirty. And it brings me so much satisfaction because it's, as a scavenger, it's like about efficiency. You know? Right. Like, I didn't have to buy these. Yep. They're perfect. They would have gone in the trash.
They were in the trash.
Yep. and it's just, it makes me feel good about how much we can do in our lives without having to waste things, you know?
Yeah, like, absolutely.
I love it. I don't know. It's just...
Well, what's so funny about those boots is we would have sold them, but they were 2 different colors.
Right.
So we were like, we either put these out back on the sidewalk for someone else to grab to use as work boots, or they just happen to fit you perfectly. So
and then one other scavenger thing about this past week is, you know, I have a truck, like an old Toyota Tacoma.
It's not that old, but...
Well, yeah.
10 years old now.
10 years old.
Yeah.
It's just a total work truck. Throw everything in there.
Yeah.
In the morning, I always just grab like some trash of food in our house. Like, food in our house.
It's like trash food.
It's like
trash food.
Okay, look. We have food in our house that we buy, that we think we're going to eat, and then we really don't eat.
This is Jay's obsession. He does this thing where, he did it to me this morning, where I had made some tomato sauce in the Instant Pot, and there was just a little bit left, which I'm probably going to use this week. Are you going to eat this? We should throw this away. Are you going to eat this? And I understand why, because you don't want rotten food in the fridge, but exactly. I'm like...
It's also just a subtle... It's a reminder that if you don't plan to eat this, then it is just going to turn into trash.
So just compost it.
My story is this. So I'll take food in our house that I know that no one really wants to eat, like... But I put it in my truck, and then in the middle of the workday, I'm really hungry.
Starving, right?
And I go to my truck, and I will eat it. You know?
You don't...
And it's so delicious. It's like stale nuts. And
oh my God. I saw you put that bag of almonds in your... and I'm like, those have to be stale at this point. Yep.
Little
you're like, I don't care.
Meat sticks. And
little salami sticks.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so fun. Yep.
When you're hungry, that works. Okay. Yep. And then the last thing I want to talk about before we get into eBay, I was talking to this guy.
Yeah.
And we were talking about putting things off for things in the future. You know, like short term, putting off short term like gratification for good things to happen in the future, And I was asking him because he's really good at that, is like putting things off and always planning for the future. And so I asked him, like, how do you put in your mind, like, what motivates you to do that? Because I think it's hard for a lot
of people don't.
Even me sometimes. It's just like, I just want what I want now.
Right.
Yep. And he called it being long-term greedy.
Long-term greedy.
Which I thought was a great way to put it,
It's almost like long tail greed.
Yeah, right.
I mean, sort of, right?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't talking about eBay. Like, he's got nothing to do with eBay. He's just doing it in other parts of his world. But it's so true. Like with eBay, is like, and our it's real estate. Like we are always working now to get paid back in the future. Like on eBay, our listed and forget it strategy. Most things that we put up in right now aren't going to sell right away.
Right.
They're going to sell in the future, and we're going to make a lot more because we're willing to wait. The property we do, instead of like buying and flipping its property and making a nice slice of income, we're instead building these things and then holding them and then getting a rent from them, and we're going to make a lot more in the future.
Right.
So I love that because we are long-term greedy. Also, I was just thinking, I know we had a stressful week, and I know it gets stressful sometimes, but I really like what we do. And the reason why, I don't know if I don't get quite as stressed as you, but I always think just like everything we do is just making our lives more like open, and we're doing all this cool stuff, and I love it,
Yeah.
Like, and I remember having jobs where I would like sit, like I'd go in, like like there'd be a building that I worked in, and I would walk out back just to have like a quick break, and I would just, it's almost like there would be like this invisible line where I knew I couldn't go. Cross. It's just like,
yep. It's like being in school.
Like I could leave,
but I get in trouble. Yeah.
And
It's like school.
Stuck here, and I can't remember the last time I ever had that feeling.
Right.
We can go anywhere and do anything. I mean, like, is this week I had to be at our building and working, but I wanted to. You wanted to be there, but I know at any time I can just be like, guys, I gotta get out of here, and I can hop in. It's my truck and go somewhere.
Yeah, you're like, I gotta go do this other thing. Right.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, so something I dealt with this week that was stressful was, one of our air conditioning units was leaking out the front, and I couldn't figure it out into the room. Right. I couldn't figure it out. It was stressful. The renters were coming in a couple hours. I was working with our maintenance dude who's awesome. Absolutely the best. And, it's hot out and it's early in the morning. It's just like, but it's one of those things where we figured it out. I bought a new AC. He helped me install it. It was great. It was fine. But it's one of those things like you're saying where I'm like, it's not like I'm stressed out with other people's problems. I think that's where my stress comes from, where I'm like, I am solely responsible to fix this right now. And, well, our maintenance guy helped us, thank God, because I'm like, I can't do this by myself. So it's great to have help. But, you're like, it's on me to do this.
Right, but
and nobody else.
I guess my question is, when you get stressed, are you feeling like you're cornered?
It's not cornered. It's more like the responsibility sometimes feels crushing. Like I woke up this morning and looked at my phone and was like, oh, one of the houses has to get cleaned today. I totally forgot about that. I don't have to clean it. But I should have reminded our cleaner yesterday. I totally didn't. And I'm like, if for some reason she can't do it, I have to go do this. It's just stuff like that where you're like, if you forget one thing, it's kind of like a snowball effect. Yeah. So, but it was fine. I mean, obviously it was fine.
I hear you. But just know, if you're not doing this alone.
I know.
Like, I would be there cleaning and you have other people. So, yeah. No,
it's true. It's just, that's where my stress comes from, where I'm like, if I forget something, things will not happen.
Yeah, I just notice it. And tell me if I'm wrong. I just notice from the outside when I see AG stressed out, it just feels like you're down in a hole somewhere, and I feel like I can't sometimes communicate with you because I feel like you're taking it all on it yourself.
I am. Yeah. I'm definitely doing that. Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, okay.
Okay, great. I'm glad we got to that point. Let's move on to eBay this week.
If you don't want to talk about that anymore. Okay, eBay this week. We had a good week. I'll start with that.
Good, yay.
Yep. Okay, number one. Last week I was wrong about eBay returns.
We
were wrong. I said something about eBay. People were returning things and there was no way to dispute it. I was so wrong.
Now, I just want to clarify something, though, because at one point in the recent past, there was a beta program that looked exactly like this. They took that away momentarily, and I remember speaking to reps on the phone, oh, that doesn't exist. We would never do that again. And yet, once they implemented, in quotes, free returns, this ability to do a partial refund and to dispute.
Right. Okay, so
it does exist.
Right. So I'll be more positive about it. So
right. I'm just saying.
So the good thing is what happens now is someone returns something, and when it comes to our house, we get the choice to refund them, and it gives you a page where you can choose. Do a full refund, partial refund, right?
etc. Yes.
And then you have to give a reason. Well, if you don't have to, but there's text to send to a buyer. And we say, thank you for returning.
Right.
And then there's a page after that where you can write a note to eBay.
To say why you disputed it. The next step is your buyer has the option to dispute your dispute. They have 2 weeks to do that. That happened to me last week over a pair of shoes that someone returned for color. I disputed it, and the buyer said, oh, you can't do that. And eBay gave them their shipping back, which I was like, I'm not paying for original shipping, but they didn't charge me. So...
Right. So that was good for both of us, but I guess eBay ate that. But
yeah, which is weird, right?
But I think that is good. I'm glad eBay's doing that for everyone now. That's a good thing. If someone returns something, you have the right to just do a refund. If if they're claiming INAD, item not described, if you dispute that, you can send them a refund, and that's like for the item and maybe not the
shipping,
and then they can dispute it, and then eBay will decide.
Involved, You know what though? But in the past, I have disputed their dispute of my dispute. So that it sounds ridiculous, but it's true.
Yeah, I think eBay could just make things simpler if they had more hard and fast rules. Like if a buyer says a problem is color.
It should automatically be like, you can't dispute this because you're returning it for color, and that is not item not as described. Unless you sent them a green jacket when you said it was red, but I don't even know if that's valid.
So another thing on eBay was a mobile phone app. Steve came on the forum and said don't update, which we did not do, thank God.
But other people did, yeah.
The mobile phone app, it now is... It's just weird. Like if you're going to update an app, it should add functionality, not just become. It sounds like it's a different app. So it took away a lot of functionality, changed things. So people that had a process of taking photos and writing descriptions and stuff, a lot of that's gone. So
that is so crazy.
Then they reverted back, I heard, to the old one, and now it's back to the new one that isn't any good. So it just sounds like...
Well, it's a good thing I'm super slow at updating all my apps.
Yeah.
Because I have not touched that.
Yeah, I just think that's... eBay has to be real careful because, people are using this as a business.
Right.
And they're creating a process, and they may even have employees where they're teaching how to do something. And eBay just cannot come and dramatically change a process, especially without any, a notice or whatever. It's just, so anyway, we just did not update, so... Yeah, period.
So hopefully, my 2 helpers this past week have been doing everything just fine, so.
Another weird thing this week.
This is really, really strange. I got an email, and I get, with the podcast and with being on eBay, we get lots of emails about
eBay, a message.
No, right? It wasn't an eBay message. It was just like an email.
Oh, okay.
From a company called Web Interpret. I barely remember looking at this, but I looked at it. I clicked through to one of their links, and then I just closed it immediately and deleted the email. Well, the next day, I noticed, I posted this on the forum, I noticed that I got all these emails from eBay saying, your item is live. It was over 250 emails, and it was all in British pounds or Australian dollars.
Right, because so they're a system, supposedly they say... If you allow them to, they will put all your items on all the different eBay sites in different countries.
Which is also bizarre to me because I'm pretty sure people in those countries can already see my listings. So I don't really know what the difference is. So I called eBay and I was like, where did these listings come from? What is going on? And they said, well, it looks like there was a third-party access that you allowed, and they are relisting your entire store in, Australian and UK. And she told me how to revoke the access. And then I actually wrote to the company and I was like, you did not have permission to go into my store or have any kind of third-party access to my eBay account.
Well, it seems like what happened was because we Googled it and other people are having the same problem. It's just that the company made it too easy to approve it. So I think you or other people who clicked on just give me more info,
right,
that actually
approved
gave
it.
them access.
So the weird thing is, and this reminds me of any application. And okay, so for example, when you do InkFrog, you have to physically click and approve their third-party access. It takes like 3 or 4 different clicks to be like, yes, I approve. And then they send you a message. You've approved this. Yep. Like, it's very clear.
Yep.
So for a company like this to, if you accidentally click on something or you click through on an email, that should never approve third-party access to your store. That's insane.
I do wonder what eBay gets out of this, because eBay actually, if I go to our seller hub, there's a banner right up top that says boost worldwide sales in 1 click. And that's
the same thing. It's WebInterpret.
That's WebInterpret. So right. I guess WebInterpret's paying eBay to have access to that kind of advertising, but it even says in 1 click. So
right. So the 1 click thing doesn't make sense, because the way that eBay third party access works is you're supposed to click through a few times and give it access. It should never just be 1 click that you're clicking for information. So I get that. My point is simply, I just wonder what eBay is getting out of it. If WebInterpret's paying them like a big sum of money for every person that clicks or something, because it just seems very kind of weird and strange. It's super scammy. Yeah. And when I was on the phone with the eBay rep, she honestly was like, did your account get hacked? I mean, she thought that might have happened, which obviously scared me.
Yep.
And I was just like, this is not okay.
So anyway, just, be careful of that.
So people on the forum were talking about not wanting to get those emails when you print a label on eBay. eBay sometimes sends 3 or 4 different emails to you just saying, your item sold. Lately I've been getting 2 or 3 of those for the same item. It's really annoying. And they also email you, a receipt of the shipping label, which honestly, I think you should always keep in your email, because I've had to access that information in the past, a couple months later to get a tracking number. But supposedly in your site preferences or communication preferences, you can turn off some of those notifications. I went and looked under the communications notifications in eBay, and I was like, I pretty much want all these. It is annoying, but I want to make sure that I get that information. Whether I delete it in my email or not is up to me. But there is a place where you can go and
so because eBay, sends us all those emails, and that goes into our Gmail account, and that gets documented forever. Does that solve the problem that someone had a week ago where, someone disputed a sale 6 months ago? No?
You might have the tracking number, but the post office still doesn't have, 6 months later, they're not going to have... They might. I've looked stuff up a year later, and the post office still randomly had the tracking, but they clear out those numbers from their servers every 6 months, generally. So no, even if you have the... Although, in the past, I have seen sometimes there is a place to request on USPS to re-archive it and put it... If you're I'm having a dispute, I don't know, USPS just made a whole new website, so I don't know if that's there, but on the old website, you could say, I need access to this, please unarchive it.
Yeah.
So that's nerdy.
Yeah, and no one really ever answered our question, just because people probably just don't even know. I mean, if a buyer can dispute an item purchase,
right, up to 6 months later, right?
6 months from now, saying there's a problem, I didn't buy this, it didn't get delivered, whatever, and PayPal wants to get a number that shows that it did get sent to them, but it's disappeared everywhere. I don't understand that. Yeah, I just...
So where's the proof? You're it got delivered, but this was 180 days ago.
That is a nerdy thing. Okay, let's talk about our numbers. We sold 74 items.
It felt like it.
Quite a bit for us, and we made about $2,400.
That's amazing.
Great week for us.
I mean, I was shipping like crazy.
If we're selling more than 10 things a day and making more than $300 a day,
we're happy.
I hope that this means that holiday season has begun. It feels good. Or maybe it's back to school.
I don't know.
It was good. I mean, so we average more, 10-ish items a day. So yeah. I bet packing was fun.
It was a real pain in the butt. Especially when I had to go fix that air conditioner. I was like, I have no time to pack. So that day, that was Friday, I had to come home. My helper was already here. I had to be like, okay, I'm going to be in your way for like 20 minutes. So I packed all the stuff, and then I had to drive to the post office. Although you were very nice and you drove me.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was fine. I just gave it to my postal people.
Yep. Okay, things we sold, really is just all random stuff. I'm just not, there's really nothing that kind of stands out. It was stuff we have listed just recently. It was stuff that had been listed 4 years ago.
Honestly, yeah.
Clothes, it was pottery, yep. It was just random stuff.
Yeah.
Long tail stuff, new stuff. It's just, to me, that's eBay,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why we just have a big old store.
Scavenge of the week, we really didn't do much scavenging.
We did go scavenging, but we didn't get amazing things.
Right, we didn't do much. We just stopped by a local thrift store for, half an hour. And
I actually got a bunch of nice shoes. You were kind of surprised at the quality of shoes I found. You were like,
true.
I'm surprised you found all these. And I was like, yeah, me too, because it was slim pickings.
Bread and butter stuff.
It's just yeah, why not?
Customer issues. So this week, we don't really have an answer for it, but it's something, if you run a business, this is something where it kind of brings up, you got to kind of think about it. So we had 3 different buyers write us and say that the items broke in transit.
One was an ashtray that I actually mailed out 2 weeks ago, shattered in half. And the other was
2 plates.
2 plates. And then another was these wooden, wooden things.
But each of them, anytime someone says that, we always say, send us photos.
Right.
They sent a photo, so it did happen.
Yep.
And we've just been trying to figure out, because I know that you always double box stuff and do good.
Yeah.
It is strange, though. They weren't in the same kind of shipment, so I was thinking,
it wasn't the same day.
Maybe it was on one truck, and that truck had an extra, rough handler. I don't know. And all we can do is just kind of now be much more aware.
Right.
And just keep an eye out and see if anything else happens.
It's just one of those things where, each time someone wrote us, I'm kind of I'm packing it the best that I know. I'm double boxing it. Right. I'm padding it. I'm bubble wrapping it.
I know we had that time, I don't know, it was a year ago where...
It was a couple of years ago,
years ago where we had a lot of items that were in poly mailers get opened... and stuff get lost.
And so it was 3, I remember it was 3 items, clothing items, that were in poly mailers that I think got messed up at the same distribution center. It seemed because that situation was all the same shipment.
Maybe they got caught in the rollers or something, and
So that's always a pain. Yep. But, with things like that, you ask for photos, number 1, so you get proof, but number 2, if you do an insurance claim, they're going to ask for photos.
Yeah. So, we always refund people immediately, and then
I do the claim, yeah. Okay, let's talk about things we learned in the forum.
Number 1, the continuation of our endless conversation about long tail versus, I guess, the Amazon way, of selling things really fast.
Yes. So the funny thing is, this was a great explanation of long tail. Stephen Schultz said, it's funny that you don't know that something is long tail until it sells.
Right. Some of the weirdest stuff will sell in a day, while a common item can sometimes take years to actually sell. And then sometimes it's the opposite.
Yeah. So it's you just never know what's going to be a weird specialized item, because I've put up the weirdest, most specialized, weirdest thing, and it'll sell in 10 minutes. Right. And you're like, what?
So I think just the interesting thing about what Steve said is, we don't purposely go out and say, I want to find stuff that's going to take a couple of years to sell. We go out and find stuff we think is cool, hoping it will sell fast. The thing is, we're just prepared to hold on to things. And I guess that's what the
right
difference is.
Yeah. Like we are mentally prepared to hold on to something, but hopefully something's selling every day, no matter how old or new it is.
That's definitely what happened during the week when we sold 70-something items, and it was just, again, totally random stuff. Stuff we've had, we can tell about how old something is by their photos. By
like the way where it was taken.
Where in the house we took it.
Who took it, yeah. I mean, not that you can tell who took it, but you kind of can.
Okay, I do want to talk about this because I am still a little confused about this. So we have a forum.
Yes.
scavengerlife.com/forum.
Yeah.
We love when people join the community and we trade information. But so, how do people join? People have to email us first. Is that what the rule is?
It's very helpful if people email me. If you click the register link to, start talking on the forum, and then you email me, hey, I'm a real person, I'm trying to register, then I will see your email and be like, oh, that's a real person. I'm going to approve them.
Okay.
That helps a lot.
Got it.
Also, there are some people who are confused that when they subscribe to our podcast, they think that they are registered for the forum. I've had several people be like, I can't log into the forum. I'm like, you're not registered.
Right. So if you subscribe through like iTunes or whatever,
or YouTube,
that's just to get the
different
podcast into your wherever, your iPhone or your phone.
And some people are subscribed to what we call the forum fire hose. And they think that they've signed up for the forum, which makes sense, but you're not. So you have to sign up for the forum separately.
A forum fire hose is just when you put your email in, and then every day it sends you a digest
of all the topics.
And it gives you links, and you can go and read, but if you want to actually answer, you have to join the forum.
Right.
And do that. Okay. I hope that's not too confusing. We're always asking if there's like a scavenger out there that knows a WordPress, we would love to talk to you.
Yeah. I know a little bit.
Okay, our coming week. Okay. What will it be like? I will tell you what I will be doing.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I will be exposing brick.
Like inch by inch on this wall.
So we bought, this building we bought is a true brick building.
Yeah.
Where it's 3 courses on inside and outside. And on the inside right now, there's plaster on the brick.
Yeah.
So we're not going to expose everything because that would take me forever. But we're just going to do a portion of the room itself just to give it some character.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a pretty big wall. I mean, it's
quite a big wall.
Gigantic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But it's going to look good.
Yep.
And then Ryan will keep eBay cranking.
Yep. That's what I'll be doing. I mean, I'll be running around town doing some other paperwork
Plenty of other stuff, too.
But, yes, I will be doing eBay. I really need to list, so it's always...
But again, it's not, it's not overly stressful. I mean, if it doesn't happen, it's fine. But, that can be done. Okay, let's answer questions that people sent to us.
So there are 2 ways you can get questions to us. You can email us an audio file, and our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com, or you can call our voicemail line, and the phone number is 540-407-8486.
Hi guys, Mark, now known as Mark the Shark, getting back to you on the opening question of last week. There is definitely something lost in a one-way question session where it is addressed later, but that's the nature of having a podcast. In answering your question about the routing software and or GPS tools, the biggest question you had is yes, I would, or the reseller would have a major role in inputting the data. I don't expect that there be a data set for these strange and different things. A pawn shop is way different from an auction, for example, out there already in existence. And if there was, you could probably bet that someone would either be talking about it on the blogs or we'd hear more about it on YouTube. Answering the second question, I was right. There is an existing software that's now discontinued called MapPoint by Microsoft that had some of these features, and I used a really stupid example of a jewelry case salesperson. But really, what I was trying to get at is a specific person that's doing marketing and sales would need a program like this to find out where the convenience stores are, where the banks, where the stores like that are, or they can't just drive around and waste time on a 40-mile leg and not find a single jewelry store, for example. So it wasn't that bad an example. Furthermore, I would need to have some say in the input of this data set. So it would be useful if this program could import, for example, a search on Google Maps, all pawn shops within 55-mile radius. However, I wouldn't give a pawn shop too many chances that kicked me out the first time for being a reseller or for trying to put a bundle deal together or saw me scanning something on the eBay or Amazon app. Pretty much at that point, if that was the owner, that pawn shop's going to be off the list and isn't worth going back to or zigzagging or even in a circular route in a cluster to go to. So that was kind of the point, that this would be an editable, I don't know if that's a word, not eatable, editable database for the reseller of all those things. In answering another one of the questions you had, I'm very well aware of AuctionZip, which is both online and in-person auctions, and the estate sale and tag sale finders. This is a little more for permanent brick and mortar locations, thrift stores, savers, Goodwill, pawn shops, permanent based flea markets. But there could be, like I mentioned in the first round of questioning, a second tier for things that are maybe every year the first week of September, like a neighborhood or association or church tag sale or a flea market that runs from May until October. So there is some flexibility there for the input, very specific input from the person using it. Lastly, I made a silly comparison that it'd be stupid to print out the routes on paper and have them nearby on your seat. Well, that's not so dumb because GPSs have really fallen out of use. So this would need to interface either through Bluetooth or somehow with your iOS or Android operating system. And you would use the phone and the GPS location finder on the phone, hopefully audible, which would be the point, to get you left, right, and straight to get to these locations. It would wear down the battery, but maybe you'd depend on a second device to scan things. I don't know. So hopefully I've clarified myself and I've really chomped down on what I'm looking for. It did exist with MapPoint a little differently until 2010. And hopefully somebody can add if there's anything like this. But I'm fearing if there were, we'd be hearing more about it. Thanks, guys. You guys are the best.
Okay, I like that. Mark the Shark. I like when people have actual kind of handles.
Which is, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm still a little confused if you're talking about you are knowledgeable enough and you're trying to build something and you're wanting input on what other people would want.
Or do you just think that would be a cool thing to exist and you would like someone to build it?
Yeah. I mean, I know what we do when we travel somewhere new, like we're going to go to Chicago in November to visit my sister. And what we do is we just go to Google Maps and we'll type in thrift store and we'll see all the thrift stores along our route.
Right. Our route. But to clarify, what Mark is saying is he wants more detailed information, which is true.
Kind of like it crowdsourced information.
because if you're like thrift stores, but then like some of them are like consignment stores, and you're like, I don't really want to go to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That would be cool if like people.
It's like a scavenger map.
But again, it's just like like how many people would participate in that and want to let people know about like their
their sourcing,
their honey holes.
Yeah,
like, this place is great.
I mean, there are places I don't want people to know about, but I mean, people know about them, but you know,
right? But you don't want to like
broadcast it on a public map.
But I don't know. Yeah. But that's how we do it when we go somewhere new. We just do Google Maps and we'll type in thrift store or auction houses or whatever.
Like, I understand the concept, but also the thing is, and we've experienced this in our past lives, if we want something to be built, we either have to build it ourselves or hire someone to build it.
Yeah.
So that would be cool, but that's like a huge project.
Yeah.
I mean, you should build it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Hey, Ryan, this is Liz from Missouri. Thank you for your answer. Appreciate that. But I thought I should give you a little more information. I bought the 5 lawn chairs at a garage sale. I paid $20. They're vintage aluminum with beautiful redwood chairs, and they do collapse or fold, the old folding lawn chairs. Anyway, the reason I bought them is because I bought a condo in Naples, Florida with my eBay money, and I want to ship those lawn chairs to my condo so I can enjoy them this winter. We leave December. We'll come back in March. So that's the reason. But I think I'm going to try FedEx Ground and wrap them in blankets and cardboard like you suggested. The other thing, I'm a person that I've always had trouble editing invoices on eBay. I don't know what's up with that. And I switch browsers. But anyway, thanks a lot for everything that you and Jay do. We appreciate you guys so much. We love you guys. Have a good day. Bye.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. You're not trying to sell them. So that actually makes it easier because you don't have to like figure out where it's going and what. Yeah, aluminum lawn chairs. If you blanket wrap them and wrap them in cardboard, I don't know if you do 2 together and have 2 big boxes or 4 boxes or whatever. But yeah, FedEx Ground should be fine for that.
And it's totally different that they fold. I wasn't sure if they were just actual chairs. But yeah, I mean if they fold up, you just find a box big enough.
I mean, they will be large, but that's not unshippable.
And, 5 chairs, you might have to split it up in 2 boxes.
Right. It might be 2 boxes. It might be 5 boxes. But if you're, like, committed to getting it there, I think you can definitely do it. And my grandma also lives in Naples, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's cool. Did she say that she bought the apartment with her eBay money?
Yeah, she bought the condo with her eBay. It's like, amazing. That's so great. I love hearing that.
That's awesome.
Okay, you can check out the blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we discussed and to join the conversation on the forum. You can leave a question or a comment on our voicemail line. Again, that phone number is 540-407-8486, or you can email us a question, and our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video. You can subscribe to our Patreon account, and you can support us for as little as $1 a month. That helps pay our server fees. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube for free, and you'll always get the latest episode. You can buy our archive of 5 years worth of podcasts. That is on the sidebar. So you can put every episode on your computer or your device and listen to it offline. We are ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Finally.
Bye.